Namaste and welcome. Today, I have the unique honor of introducing some very special people to the Lokwani audience. This is the team of youth leaders who have come together to support the very iconic Learnquest Music Festival that happens in the Boston area each year. Usually, we have more senior people from the community who are volunteering, who are coordinating, but this year, LearnQuest is leaping forward and bridging the generational gap by bringing youth to really lead the festival and to play a very key role in ensuring that this festival goes successfully. I have with me three very special individuals. First, there is Salina Banerjee, whom we have seen grow up since she was 6 years old. I remember watching her concerts. I remember going to her Arangetam. All three here are students of Dr. Pradeep Shukla at the LearnQuest Academy. And she finished her Manch Pravesh in 2017, which I remember was spectacular. She is actually now a faculty member at LearnQuest Academy in classical vocal music. And she's continuing, of course, her training as well. And in her other life, she is a PhD candidate at Northeastern University's Department of Chemical Engineering. A little tip, she is the great granddaughter of the famous favorite musician Pankaj Mallik ji. So welcome, Salina. And we have with us a very young musician, Vyom. But of course, in musical terms, he seems to have done so much. He's a high schooler. He, of course, he plays classical and jazz piano. He has been part of the Boston Symphony Orchestra. He learns classical music from Pradeep ji since he was 7, and amazingly has been volunteering at the festival since he was 7 as well. And finally, actually, now we have I should say, the oldest member of the team, who is actually very young as well, Saeed Arshad, who is also a student of Pradeep ji. He is, of course, has completed his PhD in biomedical engineering from Dartmouth and is working at Lincoln Labs, and but has been very much influenced by Punjabi poetry and all that. He is originally, his family is from Pakistan, and all those musical influences have helped shape who he is. Both Vyom and Saeed have played Western classical. Saeed has played violin quite a bit and now has found Hindustani classical music. Welcome, all of you. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you.
What a pleasure it is.
Namaste.
Salina, I'm going to go to you first. Tell us about this festival. When is it? Where is it? And how can people get tickets to attend the festival?
So Learnquest is back again this year with our 16th annual festival. This year, instead of just one weekend, we're holding it for two separate weekends from March 29th to 31st is our first weekend, and then we have a second round on April 13th and 14th. The festival is at Regis College in Weston, Massachusetts, and you can find tickets at learnquest.org.
Fantastic. And we will have the link. We have the link on the video as well. So, Salina, what is your special role? I hear there's something unique that you're putting together. So please share that with our audience.
Yes, this year I have the honor of leading our student ensemble. I actually started attending the festival for the first time because I was participating in the student ensemble. So it's a big full circle moment for me, and I'm very excited about that. We are putting together a performance in tribute to Dr. Prabha Atreji, who passed away earlier this year. And that performance will be on April 13th, the second weekend.
Wow, that sounds really fantastic, Salina. So I'm just going to introduce the next member of this team, who is Vyom Srivastav. And Vyom, you're a high schooler. So tell me, how easy or difficult was it to become part of this festival? I know high schoolers says they have no time to do anything. So tell me, what motivated you to become part of this festival, and what role are you playing in this festival?
Hi everyone. So I'm part of the vocal ensemble that Selena Didi is leading. So I'm super excited to do that. And we have practices every week. So it definitely is a commitment. But Indian music has always been like a big part of my life. So I've always just been like since I was like 6 or 7, it's been school, Indian music and piano. So it's always just been something that like gets me away from school. So it's something that I can relax with. It's something that I can look into myself with. And really, I don't think that just because there's a time commitment away from school doesn't mean that it's unsustainable, because I think I've been able to balance both. And I think that it's really helpful to be able to do so. And in terms of my other special roles in the festival, I hope to volunteer there again. I've been volunteering for some time now, so I'm excited to do that, and I'm super excited to sing with everyone on the 13th.
Wonderful. Singing is really great, and you're singing under the leadership of Selena. And how is that, to have a slightly younger person to be a leader? Is it different to have, unlike somebody like maybe me or a Pradeep ji who is, in a different genre, generationally. How has that been working with Selena and the other young people who were maybe born and brought up here?
I mean, yeah, it's really cool to be working with Selena Didi. I remember when I was really little, and I think Selena Didi was still just one of the very advanced students. I had one class with her, and I thought, wow, this is so cool. She teaches in such a different way than Pradeep ji. And it was like she was always someone that I've looked up to, and someone that is like kind of been a goal for me to reach as kind of one of like Pradeep ji's like top students. So it's really cool like learning from her, and it's really cool getting to interact with a bunch of other young musicians, some of whom are being taught by her and some of whom I've been in classes with in the past. So it feels like really fun to be part of a group of my own peers again.
That's fantastic. I think that, also for us older people here, it feels like really safe that music is being handed off to the next generation. And thank you all for taking it forward. I am now going to bring in Saeed Arshad, who is a little bit newer to I think, the Boston area, but has done his PhD, as I said, and seems to have managed to balance life and work. I mean, obviously, you were in high school at some point and able to do music at that time. And so Saeed, could you tell us a little bit? I know that you're part of the planning committee as well. I think you are, and you can tell me if that's not the case. And just to tell us what the highlights are of this festival. What can people expect to hear? I know there are a lot of stalwart musicians coming. I'd love to learn more.
Absolutely. I think so yeah, I am on the committee. I will say again very lightly, the people who are typically part of it, everyone from Pradeep ji and Pallavi ji, they're the main ones leading all the organizations and all the efforts for the actual event and reaching out to all the artists. In terms of what's new this year, there's a kind of a fixed community and audience that comes to the festival every year. It's a great turnout. And it's typically, from my understanding, been, just one big weekend every year. This year, they really wanted to push the boundary. They wanted to see what else they could add. So one of the biggest additions this year is having a dance component. And so that was, I think, a big push by some members of the committee to really diversify the offerings. Typically, they do a very good job of balancing the North Indian and South Indian, so the Hindustani and Carnatic music offerings with a pretty much a very diverse range of artists covering more or less all your instruments that are offered in each tradition, as well as a variety of vocalists from each tradition. This year we have a lot of jugalbandis, which is, I think, very different. And the biggest difference is also that we're spreading it over 2 weekends, like Selena mentioned. So I would say those are the three big changes. There's obviously plenty of other things they try to change up in terms of how they're planning internally. But I would say in terms of the public facing changes, these will be the biggest things that people will notice.
Are there any young superstars, that we are looking forward to seeing? I know Padmini Raviji is coming for the dance part, who is as a dancer, I'm so glad you expanded the festival, and she's a very great favorite for many people.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, we definitely have a range of young and older maestros. I think for me personally, I wrote an article for the magazine on Arshad Ali Khan and Sahana Banerjee, who will be doing a jugalbandi, a vocal and sitar jugalbandi. So they're incredible. One, just because of they're young maestros coming from Gharanas, but I think just seeing the fact, especially last year, what the reception was to some of the very young maestros, and seeing the level that these young artists are able to achieve at such a age. Even last year, I remember um, the father son duo that came. Selena, do you remember who it was? It was Ishan Ghosh and Nayan Ghosh. Yeah, yeah. So just seeing how the older generation is truly cultivating the younger generation is absolutely wonderful. And you see that in our lineup. Like if people go to the website, they can see the full list of artists we have, and you'll see not just an incredible range and diversity in terms of North Indian and South Indian and all different instruments, but even in terms of the age ranges and maybe where all these artists are in their musical journey. So
No, it's really wonderful to see that. And actually, Sayed, I should ask you this. I mean, I haven't. How is the music scene in? I know you come from a Pakistani background. I know that from in our South Indian, where I come from, music is like key to our. Every kid needs to learn. I know Bengalis, it's the same. And
yeah,
when
great
I
question.
background, it's the same. And of course, for the women it's more it's common and but I'd love to learn more from you about what it is like growing up with a Pakistani background in sense of the music.
Sure, yeah. I mean, it varies a lot. I think Pakistan, just because we've had a different kind of socio-political history as well, the way music shows up in our households is different. I agree, in Bengali and Indian households in particular, it's very much encouraged for Bengalis, especially culturally, and especially I would say for in Indian Hindu households, partially because it's so tightly associated with worship. Um, for Pakistanis, you see that kind of come out with the engagement of when people learn to read the Quran. So there's a musicality in that I would say is a standard exposure. But then you see a lot of diversity in terms of there are people like myself who had exposure from our parents who are very into, let's say, ghazal and semi-classical. So I think you see a lot more engagement with semi-classical forms in Pakistan. Um, there is engagement with pure classical, particularly you see organizations like the All Pakistan Music Conference, who are like kind of the main bastions of classical music in Pakistan. I would say, unfortunately, it's not as widespread and valued as it perhaps is in India and Bangladesh. But again, that's also, I think, changing for the better, again, given how the newer generation is showing interest and trying to cultivate it. So even I'm very lucky to have like 10 friends here who I went to a music event with last night, all Pakistani or all different, even ranges of different versions of American Pakistani. So
Fantastic. Great to hear that. And I'm just going to go around with all of you for your, musical histories here. I know, so Arshad, would you like to tell me a little bit, Saeed, I mean, would you like to tell me a little bit about the background that you come from musically?
yeah, sure thing. So like you mentioned, like my earliest influences were my father listening to, Punjabi Sufi Kalam. My mother always was playing Mehdi Hassan in the background while cooking. And my mother actually is a very good singer as well. She's even sang, she doesn't tell people this, but she actually sang on PTV, which was like this big Pakistani channel back in the day.
Wow.
She did
Yeah.
one thing and then never did it again. So so the talent was there. As I mentioned, I started playing violin in fourth grade. That lasted for about 8 years when I was living in Saudi Arabia at the American school there. When I moved to the US, there wasn't an orchestra here, so I started dabbling a lot. When I went to college, I joined like an a cappella group. I started basically in college, I explored pretty much every instrument I could get my hands on. Classical guitar. I had the foundation from Western classical violin. So I tried everything from like guitar, drums, different versions of flute, got into the bansuri for a bit. But during grad school, I went hard on the Hindustani classical instruments. So whatever I could get my hands on, rubab, sarod, tabla. And then 3.5 years ago, I was lucky enough to connect with Pradeep ji and Jawad Bhai at Learnquest. And both of them, apart from being brilliant teachers, they're both professors and just brilliant, beautiful human beings, as everyone knows. And that kind of became a point of commitment of, okay, I love this tradition. I've This is the music I want to learn. And so I made a kind of point to commit to, okay, I'm going to try to do singing and sitar in the Hindustani style and, hopefully get to the level that people like Selena and Viom are at, because they got a head much earlier start than me. So but that's been my journey. So
Oh, that's fantastic. It's very interesting to hear a journey where, music was not like encouraged from day one, and, also the opportunities to learn was not as available. But you really show that if there's the passion, yeah, the guru will find you and you find the guru. So this is your fine example of that. And to you, Selena, one of the a couple of things I noticed both with Saeed and you're getting towards this PhD, and there's also, Pradeep ji, who is a PhD, So do you think there's a alignment here between wanting to really research deeply and do music?
I think there's definitely an alignment. We kind of have a joke amongst us that in order to learn from Dr. Shukla, you need a PhD, otherwise he'll kick you out of class. Just a joke, definitely not true.
Yeah.
But I think there definitely is an alignment, I think, from my perspective, both Indian classical music and research and PhD in general
Yeah.
are very retrospective, as Vyom has mentioned. There's a lot of thinking and innovation going on, and really thinking about pushing the boundaries of within the limits you are given based on the project or the music that you're working on.
It's beautiful, Selena. So now, Selena, I'd like to ask you that you have attended these festivals since you were a child. How has that helped you in your musical journey?
I think only recently I've realized how much the festival has influenced my own learning. I used to, just show up as a kid. It was like a big mela for me. There's so much beautiful music, food, art everywhere. So I really used to enjoy just attending the festival. But actually, every year I came away from the festival with a big supplement to my own musical learning. And really recently, I've realized how privileged I was to be able to witness the leading artists every year and witness their creative process and expand my own horizons beyond the classroom by listening to their performance and observing how they function on stage.
Fantastic, fantastic. And can you share what it was like to grow up in a family where your great grandfather was Pankaj Mallikji?
Yeah, I think in addition to him as well, there are a lot of other family members in my family who are involved with music professionally or informally. My grandfather on the other side, on my father's side, was a lyricist for the radio. And my aunt as well used to sing in the radio. So everyone took musical training very seriously and kind of emphasized how this is a part of your own personal journey to towards becoming a better version of yourself. So it was always emphasized that you need to stay connected to music for yourself. So I think I've really been able to adopt that value over the years, and I'm starting to understand the importance of that, the importance of exploring your creativity. And yeah, it's definitely carried over into my PhD as well, as you've mentioned.
That's fantastic. I watched the Oppenheimer movie and I was very moved by the statement which said, it's not about reading the notes, it's about hearing the music. And I think the more you can hear the music, I think, and this is such an opportunity, like you said, it's blessing, right? Because I think, Saeed, you didn't grow up being able to listen to live music like this. So I think, having that big opportunity right at your doorstep is something I hope nobody misses. We don't know what, thing that we have with us. So, Vyom, what advice do you have for, first of all, tell us a little bit about your background, your family background, and how did you get into classical music?
Yeah, so originally I started learning piano when I was 4, and when I was about 6, I started learning tabla. And at the same time, my father started learning Indian vocal music from Pradeep ji. And I switched over eventually from tabla to also learning vocal music when I was around 7. And so ever since it's just been vocal music. Recently, I've started doing jazz piano. I've been trained in Western vocal music as well. So I've performed with the BSO as part of a choir. And I've really just enjoyed kind of putting all of these styles together, especially because a lot of the styles I do, like jazz and Indian classical music, they're both very heavy about improvisation. They're both inherently creative and in the moment. And so you can kind of create this amalgamation of the two. You can bring styles from one to the other and kind of crossbreed this kind of new, crazy kind of creative mess.
So it's great. So I suspect your father starting out the music class was inspirational for you to go ahead and join. And it looks like there's a lot of musical influence in your family as well. So that's great. And I'm looking at the, the people who are coming. I see people like Lalgudi GJR Krishnan. We have Vijay Shiva, Gayatri Girish. But we have also local artists like Aparna Balaji, Praveen Sitaraman, and so many others. And also on the, on the Hindustani side, I'm seeing Swapan Chaudhary, Kushal, just you, Uday Bavalkar, some of the most famous names I'm seeing here as well. So I think whether you want to hear the younger generation, the more known generation, I think younger is even better, because when they become famous, you can say, oh, I heard him or her when they were at Learnquest Festival, a long time ago. And I think you can really learn from all of this. So I really hope all our viewers come and really listen in and make use of this. So Saeed, you want to just wrap up saying exactly where it is, what it is, and what are the ticket costs like? I forgot to ask that, so if you want to.
Sure. So again, the most helpful thing for everyone will be to go to the website, because the ticket costs have a very large range, starting from being able to buy individual tickets for individual days, all the way to buying, the full package for both weekends. So roughly the ticket prices can range from, like $80-ish all the way to a few $100s for the full package for the 2 weekends. And again, you can get the full detail on the website. In terms of the location, it's going to be in the Casey Theater at Regis College in Weston, Massachusetts, which is closer to Western Massachusetts. So it's a bit of a drive for anyone in the Boston area, but it's, I think, the most central location for the general Massachusetts area that they find. So that's why they like doing it there. Beautiful big hall, beautiful drive and beautiful area. So it's a wonderful place to host the event. We also have a huge number of vendors that show up every year to be able to sell their particular wares. Meals are provided, or you can purchase meals there. They have a variety of food vendors there as well. So I believe those are the main details beyond the artist lineup and the dates, which are all again listed on the flyer you have. And again, people can go to the Learnquest website to get all the specific details on the conference. But those are the main, I would say, high-level details.
And 10 seconds on what do you think would be metrics to evaluate success of this conference?
Oh, I mean, obviously the biggest one is attendance and word of mouth, which, so far every year has been fantastic. And this year, I think the biggest thing will be seeing if we can maintain the attendance and the enthusiasm and the energy across 2 weekends. So we're going bigger and bolder this year, and it's an experiment, and we'll see what happens. But as long as the community is happy and the artists are happy, then we're happy. So
fantastic. It is really wonderful to hear all your comments and to know that you are part of the Learnquest Festival to take the presence of classical music forward in the Boston area. And Salina, so happy to hear that you are actually teaching now. So we may have a new Pradeep Shuklaji incarnation in a few years. I know. It's a long way off, but surely, but it's great that you're teaching. So Salina, as a young teacher, what message do you have for those students who are training to be able to attend this, why they should attend this conference?
Well, the students who I'm training are very young. So first of all, I want to mention that the Learnquest Festival is so much fun every single year. So at the end of the day, there's so much knowledge, so much music, so much art, but it's a lot of fun. And you will realize when you attend the festival that music is fun and classical music is fun. So everyone should come to the festival, whether you're a student, a listener, a music lover, and experience the joy of Indian classical music.
Fantastic. And Vyom, you are the youngest here. So I'm going to ask you to give a message to our senior people in the area as to why they should attend classical music, why it is not enough to listen to it on YouTube, but actually come and attend it in person. So, Vyom, over to you.
I mean, Indian classical music is a live art. It is something that's always created in the moment. And I think this is one of the best places, especially in the US, to listen to such high quality Indian classical music. So, from whatever level you are, if you're very young, if you've only started learning and you're coming, you can hear some incredible artists in a very accessible format. And if you're, more experienced, if you've been listening for such a long time, you're still getting such a high quality of artists that you can come, you can listen, and as always, it's always better to listen, especially to this kind of thing, such a creative performance live, than it is to listen on YouTube or on Spotify. And to our older audience out there, I think this is. I know we've been having this for a long time, and you guys have been coming for a long time. So um, I hope you can make it this year as well.
Great. Thank you so much. I agree with you. The high quality, right? Like everyone, the Indians always want to go to the good colleges to learn from the best, and attending such a classical music festival is a real high quality learning experience as well. Learning, joy, entertainment, all at the same time. So thank you all for doing this for us, and I hope all our audience will come and join you as we listen to stalwarts, as we listen to young stalwarts, and of course, watch the magic of the young volunteering team that has put together such a fabulous show. Thank you all. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you, G. Namaste.